Hello, I'm Tootie Tati. To those who already know me, nice to see you again. And to new viewers, welcome to my channel. It's been quite some time since I last posted. Sorry to those who've been waiting, but thank you to those who've been sticking around. I've been through a lot of changes recently, and I felt like I haven't had the time to create like I used to. But I will be making an effort to create more videos for my channel. To show some initiative, I gave myself a month to make a video for you all. I'm even forcing myself to finish this before I get the new Tomodachi game coming out in April, so the pressure is really on. So apologies if it seems a little rushed or unfinished, but I'm also doing this to prove to myself and others that not everything you put out needs to be perfect. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Are you ever working on an OC's design for hours, and when you're finally done, you take a look at it and you're like, why is this the most basic thing I've ever made? Well, this disappointment could be because you're not following the basic rules of character design. Now, I'm not an expert character designer. For how long I've been drawing, maybe I should be, but I think I've gotten better over the years, so don't worry, we can learn together. Before we go through all the steps, what is character design exactly? Character design is how we visually tell who a character is by what they wear, how they come off, and all the other elements that set your character apart. Your character's design will really affect people's first impression of them, and a great design can help bring your character to life. For example, think of Link in Ganondorf. Even at first glance, it's immediately obvious which one of these characters is the hero and which is the villain. You kinda get the idea, right? Good, because I'm not sure how to explain that any better. Now, maybe you already knew what character design is, but how do we actually design characters? I've spent some time watching videos and reading different posts about it, and I'm here to give a summary of what works for me. Again, I'm still learning myself, so don't feel like this is the only way to do it or anything. As an example of how we can improve on our character's design, I'll be using some characters from Pokemon Ranger's Guardian Signs. This game has always been one of my favorite Pokemon games that are definitely overlooked compared to the other games Nintendo has released for the DS. This game has several characters that I could work on, but we'll be focusing on the main character. So let's start with Manami. Her name in the English version is Summer, but I thought that name seemed really basic. Sorry to those named Summer. Before we actually start drawing out ideas, we need to get an idea of who our character is. Who is Manami? Manami is a Pokemon Ranger, and if you're not too familiar with the Pokemon Ranger series, you might be asking yourself, what the hell is the difference between a trainer and a ranger? A trainer is one who catches, owns, and battles with Pokemon that are captured by Pokeballs. They often compete to earn badges, become a Pokemon Master or Champion, or just to do research on Pokemon. Pokemon Rangers, on the other hand, are like guardians or protectors for Pokemon, nature, and people. They are the ones people look up to maintain peace in whatever region they're in. Instead of the Pokeballs that everyone knows, they use something called capture stylers. They use these to befriend Pokemon to help them out in their different obstacles. Then once the Pokemon have fulfilled their roles and helped out, they are let go. This is something I appreciate a lot for some reason. Rangers might have a partner Pokemon they keep, but it's just one instead of 6 or more. So Manami is a Pokemon Ranger, we got that, in a region called Bolivia. She's one of 2 characters you can play in this game, with the other being a ranger called Natsuya or Ben. Whichever character you pick becomes the silent protagonist. Now, it might just be me, but I often enjoy the silent protagonist trope, and I believe this works out for Manami as well. You could choose Natsuya, but personally, I like seeing Manami as the silent protagonist and Natsuya as the more outspoken one in this case, so that's what we'll go with. Playing the game, I saw Manami come off as quiet, alert, smart, loyal, passionate, and forgiving. We can keep that in mind as we're redesigning her. What else should we know? From what I remember, Rangers were easily identified by their equipment or clothing. In Guardian Signs, Rangers were recognized by their yellow scarves and red goggles. That's another design factor to keep in mind while redesigning Manami. Now that we have an idea of who Manami is, we have another question to answer. What are Manami's surroundings? In this case, I'm not too sure where Manami and Natsuya both come from. We see a flashback of them talking to their leader at some point in the game, but it's inside some weird building and doesn't give us much information. For most of the game, we see them both spend their time in the region of Bolivia. Bolivia is made up of islands, so Manami and Natsuya are always running around in the sun and right next to the beaches. One of the islands both rangers go to literally contains a volcano, so I can't believe they're running in the heat with scarves on. We'll see what I can do with that. Now that we have a good idea of who Manami is, let's get started! Before sketching ideas, I had to ask myself, what do I like and dislike about her character design? For starters, I do not mess with her hair. In the game, it looks fine, but the drawn out design looks so odd to me. That's definitely going to be something I work on changing. The colors attributed to the design are alright, so I'll probably leave them mostly the same. but I feel iffy about the whole outfit in general, so there's a lot we can work on. Again, this is just my opinion, but I believe it could look a lot better. Something I like to do when I'm designing a character is pulling up different references that remind me of the character I'm working with. For this, I pulled up different Rangers designs to compare them to the one I'm working with. I really like the color of black and red for these other Rangers. I was wondering why it was so different compared to the palette from the Rangers and Guardian signs. Now, let's start the speed paint, and I can talk a little more loosely about some of the steps that I took while redesigning Manami. Okay, so starting out with the first character design, I wanted to try the silhouette method. I know that's something that character designers use to like kind of tell, I don't know, they just kind of figure out their figure and what works out for them, like what makes them stand out. But I kind of abandoned that idea at the end because I was just like, okay, I can't do this. But I was really, if you can't tell, I was really struggling what to do with her face and her hair. I was going insane, but one day at work, I was just drawing in my sketchbook, trying to think of ideas, and I thought the pigtails and the bandana instead of the scarf would be really, really cute, and it turned out so good. And I ended up doing polls for these characters on my Instagram story. Everyone really liked 1 and 3, which I agreed. And one of them even had the idea of mixing 1 and 3 together, and I kind of ended up doing that at the end. And I'm really happy with how this turned out. I don't know if you could see, it's really fast, but the other Pokemon Rangers in the other games, their colors were like, the palette was like black and red. It was much darker. And I appreciate that the Rangers and Guardian signs have like a more vibrant colors. It matches like where they're at. They're in the sunny island in this region of Bolivia, and I don't know, I think she would have looked a lot more like serious with like red and just black, even though I like those colors a lot. I really, really liked how she turned out. I think she looked really cute, and I think I kind of made her, in my head, you'll see when I color her later, I made her a lot darker because first of all, she's in the sun, okay? She's on an island. I don't know where she's at regularly because like I said, we never really know where she's at, but my headcanon is that she's Filipino, okay? She's a Filipino baddie. Is that because I'm Filipino? Maybe. But, oh my god, you'll see when I color, but I love drawing dark characters. You'll see later in the speed paint that I add like cute little freckles and like cause like, I don't get sunburned, but like my nose kind of gets like burnt. And I wanted to kind of incorporate that with the design, and I think she turned out so cute. I love that I switched the scarf for the bandana. I think it really suits her. Gotta keep the goggles because she goes scuba diving and she does everything, okay? Like she needs those gloves, she needs those ankle whatever. But I'm really happy with how she turned out. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Y'all, I don't know how people record just like freestyle, okay? I can't do it without a script, I'm sorry. And this is the final result. I hope you guys like it, at least just a little bit. Originally, I was just going to do the main character, but I figured why not do one of the villains? There's like so many. I picked out Blue Eyes, one of the many villains you encounter throughout the game, who is always my favorite because she was a softie deep down. Can we also talk about how she has jiggle physics in her pose, or am I just seeing things? Okay, let's just get started. Okay, so for Blue Eyes, I already knew that I liked her outfit. I liked what she had going on. Like, her pose says a lot about her. She's confident, she's sassy, you know. But Blue Eyes is the leader of Pokemon Pinchers, or so we think in the beginning. She's like the first villain that we encounter. So instead of like Team Rocket, it's Pokemon Pinchers. What they do is like gain control of Pokemon to use against like other people. Like they literally like hypnotize Pokemon to do whatever they say. And they also like capture them, and I forget, oh my god, I can't even remember. They capture these Pokemon and they're just like taking them all for themselves. But this is horrible. I literally played I almost played all of the game. I was originally gonna make a video about the whole game in general, but I literally, like, I was on and off with the game. Like, I was consistent for like maybe a week, and then it was like months later that I continued the game, and I was like, oh, what's happening? But in the end, Blue Eyes was let go by her boss, who was like the second villain. There's like a lot of like bosses here, but she was let go. She said, or he said, like, you're no longer of use to us. And I think that Blue Eyes just wanted to be, I don't know her backstory. We don't really get a lot from these characters, but at the end, she ends up helping us find the clue on what to do next, on how to take down the next villain. And I think that's why I like her. She's a lot of fun to, you know, chase around and battle and interact with her. And then, you know, at the end, like, she just wants to help. I think she felt bad, but anyway, I liked her outfit a lot. Yeah, the references I had for Blue Eyes, I created like a whole mood board. I really liked what I built up to, but I think drawing them out, it kind of was not what I wanted exactly, but I liked the idea a lot. I had a lot of fun with it. She has a little, like, she doesn't have a robotic arm, but she just had, that's what she uses to capture Pokemon. I don't know if I said that already, but yeah, I enjoyed this a lot. I even debated using blue eyeshadow on her, but I thought it would be too much blue going on. But you guys let me know. Maybe I'll edit a little later, but I'm definitely gonna mess around with these characters a little more. I might even change this design again, because I'm not sure if I'm super happy with how she turned out, but for the sake of time, this is what I stuck with, and I think it turned out pretty good. And bam! They're both done. I honestly enjoyed this project a lot. I still have a lot to learn, but overall, I enjoy how these turned out. I'm not sure if I'm as big of a fan of how I redesigned Blue Eyes, but I'm not mad at it either. When I draw both of them together, I feel like it works out pretty well. Anyways, that's the end of the video. Now I'm curious what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts below. Did you think I could have designed them differently? How do you guys design characters? Let me know what you like about the redesigns in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed what I made in a month. I was really stressing I wasn't going to be able to make it in time. I had to start my video format from scratch, so I had more work than usual. But thankfully it all worked out. Thanks to everyone that helped me with this video and process. It was a lot of fun. Now, if you don't mind, I have a Tomodachi demo to play. Bye!